Hey everyone, welcome to Saturday Night Popcorn. This is Jason.
And this is Kai, and we have another great discussion for you today. The movie of the day is Persona. It's from 1966. It's a very old movie. My dad was born actually in 67, so I don't want to say old, but still, spoiler warning for everyone.
Ancient. That's what we use. But but yeah, as Kai said, it's Persona. This is one that it's probably highly kind of like recommended in terms of like if you're gonna be watching a lot of films. But it's from Ingmar Bergman, and Bergman is like one of these directors too that are on the list of directors it's recommended to watch their films.
2 weeks
But
in a
yeah,
row.
2 weeks in a row. Yeah, that's true, right? We got some 2 weeks in a row of like movies that everyone should probably watch in their lifetime. I
Yeah.
think. I think it's like true to say that this one and 2 weeks in a row, like we said, Stalker was last week. I
Mhm.
think Stalker and Persona are definitely two movies you should watch in your lifetime, right?
Yeah. Especially if you're in a film.
Yeah, especially if you're into film and stuff. I mean, we'll kind of get into that, um, but I can ask you first, Kai, what did you like
Mhm.
most about this movie?
Uh, so I have yeah, like I say every week, like I make notes as I'm as I'm watching a movie. But I enjoyed they were weird, but I enjoyed the gruesome close-ups they had in the beginning.
Oh,
The guy
interesting.
nailing, getting his hand nailed, the eyeball situation. It was messed up, but I actually enjoyed that. That was kind of cool. It's not what you expect in a movie. Like just to see just such a simple name, the movie's all in black and white, and then for the movie to start that way, you're just like, yo, where are we gonna go with this?
Now
So I enjoyed that.
let me cut in real quick. The moment
Mhm.
I saw those, I kind of like, and even my girlfriend next to me and stuff, like, do we assume Bergman added those to kind of like prime your brain to be tense throughout the movie? Because
Had to.
those things like it psychologically it can probably kind of like set your mind in a certain mood and kind of like
Hmm.
put your mind in a certain state. And so did Bergman put that to kind of like set the tone for the rest of the movie, so you're kind of thinking a certain way,
Yeah, I think he had to because there was no other reason for those.
right? I think there's, yeah,
Because
no
yeah,
other reason.
because then it happens again like midway through the movie. They have
Right.
like a little break, and you're just like, what?
There's also
Like,
that
what
one
is going
part.
on?
There's also that one part where they're showing the monks that decided to kind of like sacrifice themselves or
Oh yeah,
protest. And so there's like a
and,
long kind of like, and it makes you feel
and this
uncomfortable
keeps
because
going
like you're watching
back.
it,
Yeah,
but you're also you're like watching it with the character and stuff. So it's like, but
yeah,
I digress. That was pretty like, it's like, oh man, like what are we watching?
yeah. And you can't look away. You're just like, okay,
Yeah,
yay,
yeah.
this is fun. Oh, so I really enjoyed that, and I really enjoyed the minimalist, so the minimalism of the movie. Like there weren't many characters, there weren't many locations. Most of the movie was like a close up,
Yeah.
like a frame of just a person, and then they would kind of maybe cut to a wide of someone outside walking in with the doctor's summer home
Hmm.
or the beach home of the doctor, and that was about it. Like there weren't many locations or many characters.
Yeah, you saw, and even like the location of the hospital that the character shows up in, it's like it's
Hmm.
basically, it seems like isolation where it's like you're in a room,
Yeah,
and it showed like the emptiness of the room too. It's very white and everything, and we don't know because it's black and white, but it's very sterile as what you would say.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like I
interesting.
think the creepiness, like the movie wasn't creepy, but the I guess the only creepy thing about the movie was you don't know what's going on outside of the frame because everything is so close.
Yeah, true, true.
But what did you like about the movie?
I kind of mirror the same of like the I really like the close up shots. It almost kind of like it didn't have the same like monologues of Stalker, but I liked how
Hmm.
they like would kind of really draw your focus into the characters, especially like
Yeah.
when they would there was like that scene where like at the end of the movie where like she's they're the two characters are kind of like discussing, or like the nurse is trying to force the other character that's kind of like in a mute state, in like a
Hmm.
psychological state that they're like currently mute at that moment, um trying to like say why they had the child and stuff, and it's like it shows it twice too, and it shows it in the perspective of
Yeah.
like a real close-up shot of the individual that's mute, and then it
And then
flips
over
and
the
it shows you
shoulder.
the same exact same thing over the shoulder and really
Yeah.
close up into the nurse. And I like how it transitions. It's from an over the shoulder to the nurse, but then it like zooms into the nurse, and so it shows you like, all right,
Hmm.
this is where it gets intense too. And so I really I like the contrast too, to another point of black and white. I don't know why, like black and white.
I loved it.
Yeah, me
Yeah. That's
too.
one of my
It
likes also. I love the look of that black and white.
Yeah, because I feel like, and it's like you're looking at a movie that's from 1966. Granted, movies can be upscaled now to look sharper on our like HD TVs, but I think black and
Yeah.
white can like stand the test of time, because it's like, unless you're doing like a lot of CGI in black and white, I don't know who would do that, but since this was like a very real movie and everything, not nothing done in CGI and stuff, I feel like you can watch this movie 20 years from now, even from now, and be like, this movie looks amazing. It the black and white contrast, I think, works perfectly for this for these types of movies and stuff. And
But we're watching it almost 60 years from when it came out, and it still
yeah,
fits with movies now.
yeah, that's why it's like you almost kind of forget that, like, oh man, this was from 1966, like, and
Yeah.
maybe because of like the film stock and everything, like I'm watching a lot more movies of videos on like the choices of camera lenses and stuff kind of within movies and stuff, and this one came up as like one of the best cinematography based kind of movies in terms of like, this is, if you're like really into cinematography, Persona is
Yeah.
one of them, as like a black and white kind of perfection, because there's a lot of
It's
contrast,
super simple too. Yeah. It seems like
right?
maybe just a couple of lights just to give all that contrast off. Even when they're outside, like to watch the lighthouse. They have already seen the lighthouse and just how much contrast that had, and they shot it on film. And Persona still gave, at least to me, like I still enjoy the look of Persona more than Lighthouse, even though Lighthouse had so much praise for its cinematography.
And it's funny, I haven't seen Lighthouse. I have to, like, I was yesterday I was telling myself I have to watch Lighthouse soon. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I can say it no matter what. I think black and white in terms of this movie is a beautiful movie. Um,
Yeah.
And so, and the characters, I think, like you said, you kind of pointed out, there's like three characters. There's a fourth one that the
Yeah.
husband kind of comes in, or like whatever. And so, but there's like three characters, and they are, one is pretty much says like what, two lines throughout the whole movie, and
Yeah.
so much emotion is like played throughout that character's kind of like progress through the movie, and it's like it's a testament to that actress that, like, oh man, like you have like two lines and you knocked it out of the ballpark for this acting. I wonder what Bergman was like, all right, just show me a face that like you're like, how did that directing, how was that directing, like you have
Show me a
nothing to
sad
say.
face. Give me
Right.
all the emotion in the eyes.
Yeah,
Show
and
me
then
a
the
sad
other
face.
one,
Show me a
and the
happy
other
face.
one, you're never gonna stop talking. I feel like when they moved over to the nurse, like talking endlessly. I even told my girlfriend, I was like, this lady never stops talking. Like she's the nurse.
Yes. She was spilling her guts out. It's like, come on, just
one,
spilling it out.
one because you're drinking too much, and probably another one because the other one's not
Yes.
talking, so you believe that they're listening. So,
The mute,
but
her name is Isabeth, and I
yes.
bet she was just like, "Yo, shut up." You know, it's like,
Right.
"Shut up! I'm sick of hearing you."
Was it more to piss her
That's why
off
she wrote
enough
that
to
letter.
right?
Yeah, that's why she had to write that letter. Like, can
Like,
you get
look,
this lady away
doctor, I
from
like
me?
your house, but send this other lady home.
I need some peace and quiet, please.
but it is a very well shot movie, well acted too. Um,
Yeah,
and so I think Stalker too. Like I think it's like you mirror like these directors made fantastic choices, uh,
yeah,
to cast their actresses or actors in these roles, and got like clear, like out of the ballpark performances out of all them and stuff, and have like full on monologues that like the camera is gonna be glued to your face, and any of your face, your eye movements and stuff are all part of that monologue and stuff, and all part of that
yeah.
scene. And so it's amazing. But but to that, what would
Hmm.
you say are like the negatives of this movie? And um I can kind of go into mine, but what
Yeah,
would you
go
say
ahead.
is like my well
No, you can start. Yeah.
for me, I don't know. I think I'm too dumb for the story, but my girlfriend was like,
Goodness.
you didn't understand the story?" I'm like, I what I get from it, and I kind of want to ask you this. The story was
Hmm.
it was good. It's a well like kind of like it's a good story. It's coming from one person basically. It's from the nurse and
Yeah,
everything. So it's like
coming from
you're kind
Alma.
of yeah, so you're kind of in that perspective of the nurse kind of like living this. But it was I think the grand scheme of things was too large for my brain to comprehend, as to what was going on. Because
Mm,
I take it, I kind of want to ask you this, and I kind of like discussed this with my girlfriend. It's like
mhm,
from knowing how do you define persona. So
mhm,
persona is basically like what you project out to the outside world, whether or not that's true to your subconscious or unconscious and everything, and how you are internally. We all kind of
mhm.
create a persona that like here is Jason or here is Kai to the outside world. So are these individuals one and the same? Are they the same person? And one is the persona of the other one, and then or of the one person, and then the other one is like the true internal workings of that same person? Or are they two separate people, but they're projecting their personas on each other?
I
That's where
think
I was
they're
kind of
becoming
confused.
one and the same. Yeah, I think they're becoming one and the same. I think
But they're two separate people.
they're two separate people. Yeah, two
Okay.
separate people, but becoming because of their interactions and the amount of time they spend with one another. They're becoming one and the same. Something to that extent. Something well, something like that. Because
Mm-hmm.
even in this description from like Letterbox, it says Elizabeth. Alma eventually confesses her secrets to a seemingly sympathetic Elizabeth and finds that her own personality is being submerged into Elizabeth's persona.
So it kind of goes to that like discussion at like when it was like raining, where like what was her
Mm-hmm.
name? Alma, sister Alma.
Alma, the nurse. Yeah.
The nurse is like explaining to this, and so the story is that this actress has a kind of a breakdown during a scene and kind of becomes mute and does not speak anymore. And so where Sister Alma, the nurse, says like, "Oh, I could become you because I believe that we kind of look the same and kind of
Yeah.
like are the same." But this actress is like is so large that basically, if Sister Alma becomes her, she will not live up to the status or like the outcome of like the actress and stuff. Actress. Where the
Yeah.
other
The
one on the
persona of
flip
the
side, she
actress. Yeah.
flips it where like if the actress becomes Sister Alma, that she will be able to fit into the mold of Sister Alma, but her energy will be so big it would be popping out at the seams, so to
Hmm.
speak, and stuff. And so yeah, I for me, I was like really confused by the movie. That's not saying that Stalker is like easy to understand too, um, but
Stalker
this
was
was
out there
like
too. Yeah.
yeah, Stalker was out there and stuff, and so I think
It's like I don't know if I understand it fully, but I watched it
but and then also the ending where it's like
when they merged their faces
she
together.
the merge in the faces. I think that kind of confirms that like yes, maybe your theory or like the theory is that like these are two individuals that are kind of merging into another, but then out of nowhere they just like leave the house, and then what happens with that?
Yeah.
So I think it's like I think it's like to like create your own ending to this, but do they just go back to their everyday life? Like, does she speak now, or like is that why she's leaving? And so
No, no, she
so
was no, they showed the camera. I think she went back to acting.
yeah, but I thought that was like the like when she
Like the
had the
past.
breakdown. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh no, because yeah, they do show her back in the hospital, laying on a bed.
Yeah,
I don't
so
know.
that's
Yeah, I
why
think you
it's
might be
like
right. Yeah, I think you just kind of make your own ending. Or we'll
yeah.
leave it at that because I don't think we're smart enough to figure it out.
No, I I don't know about you, but
I'm leaving it at that.
but what would you take as negatives or like things that you would say as like, oh, these are not something
I
really
had
good.
two things like Alma's or sister Alma's descriptive sex scene, like when she's describing
Oh yeah.
her and her friend on the beach and some guys show up. Like that was, I was like, yo, what is going on?
Not
So that was
guys,
a dislike.
children too.
Oh,
Like that's
children, yeah, exactly, yeah, which makes it even worse. But is it children or were they like 19? Like we did just watch Train Spotting, and the girl
true.
was in high school, but she was like 19. So
Mm,
overseas is a different situation.
yeah.
Um, so it was that, and then some of the transitions, like you mentioned one earlier with the monk being burned alive, but then there was also that close up of it was like a group photo, not a group photo, but it was a photo of a little kid. There was a military person with a gun, and then there was like a group of people off to the left side of them, and they kept cutting to different portions of the photo.
Yeah, she was
That
looking
was
at it, right? Too.
weird.
The
Yeah,
what's her name?
Elizabeth.
Yeah, she was looking at it. And I took that as like that's like a World War II, like Nazis and the Jews
Yeah,
and
that's
the
what I was
Nazis were
thinking.
kind of that's what I took it as, but yeah, I was confused by that too.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, you're on this for too long. Like, I get it. Like, I've seen the photo. I get it. And yeah,
Like, are we to assume that is she one of them, or in terms of like, and also the
I don't know.
timeline of this movie? Like, when does this movie kind of take place in time? Um,
Hmm.
so 1966 is what 11 years after the end of World War II. Um, so are we assuming that this is taking place in 1966? Which I don't know. Yeah, do like with that photo, do we assume that that's one of those people that they zoomed in on was her or
Had to
a
be.
family member?
Yeah.
So
I'm
yeah, that
thinking
was
because
kind
they
of
show like a
confusing.
little kid that may have been a little girl that may have been her. Or yeah, maybe even a
Yeah,
family member. Maybe the little
yeah,
boy was her brother. I don't know.
not sure.
Yeah. They don't. Yeah, those are my only dislikes, which they weren't really dislikes. They were just kind of strange.
Yeah, which kind of goes into the our ratings of these, where I'm gonna not like, even though I had more likes than dislikes of this thing, of this
Hmm.
movie, I I I struggled with like my rating and stuff, and I ended up giving it a 3 stars out of 5 on Letterbox. And I was telling
Uh-huh.
Kai before this we started recording that like I tried to rate the movie the moment I end the movie. So I grab my phone and then I rate it. But then I go and look at the overall rating within the Letterbox community. And I look at that and whether or not am I on the same kind of like pace of the Letterbox community, or did I rate it lower? Did I rate it higher? But I also don't want that rating to influence my rating overall. So I try not to change my rating afterwards because of I saw like what Letterbox. So this I gave it a 3, but Letterbox community kind of averages about 4.5. And so like so again, that kind of reiterates: Am I am I too dumb for this movie? Maybe, and so I got to rewatch it again.
No,
but
but I was my rating was similar to yours. I gave it a 3.5. I truly enjoyed the movie, but it was difficult to give it a rating. So I was like, yeah, I'll give it a 3.5. But
I think in terms of visual style, I would give it like 4.5. Like in terms of
Oh yeah,
cinematography,
easy.
yeah, yeah. But with everything else, kind of like, um, I may not have like the whole like transitions to like those like weird grotesque kind of like not grotesque, but like just like awkward kind of cut-ins to like a dude or someone getting their hand nailed to. I
Yeah, a
took that as like
table.
Jesus, right? Or like being nailed to the cross because like
Yeah,
there's only a few examples of people getting nails through their hands onto a wooden plank
yeah.
in history and stuff. So so we took that as that, and so like the but I so like I struggle with that where it's like all right, where like I kind of would I want to go down the route of like figuring out like what did Bergman want with that? Was it to build
Hmm.
tension? And I get that. I get that like you're trying to like build the tension beforehand, but I think your film outside of those tension building kind of cut-ins would do it already. Like why did you want to psychologically kind of like place your audience into a certain mood before they started your film? Like what was the decision around that? Was it to just kind of build the tension and then
Yeah,
increase it so that they you had more of an emotional reaction
and stay on
to the
edge.
film itself?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. We might have to look into it more.
Yeah, I guess watch it again. No matter what, I think
Yeah.
a lot of these movies, like even the ones that kind of like Stalker, I think is one that you need to watch multiple times to kind of like
Oh yeah,
to get more of the story and everything.
yeah.
People watch Marvel movies multiple times. They're like, and then they see things in
I'll
the
find the little
background more.
Easter eggs and
Yeah,
everything.
so
Yeah,
it's like if you're willing to watch that movie like 10 or 12 times, I'm pretty sure you can watch a movie that's like kind of sometimes all inspiring and you don't get it at the first instance in the first watch. So maybe you do got to rewatch it again and stuff so that you kind of can listen to the dialogue or like read the dialogue. In this case, it's subtitles. And do we take it as it's like a Swedish film, or what
um
country is this from? Because this
yeah, I
is like
don't
a whole
know.
different country, and that we watched
Yeah.
the movie from, which is interesting, which is nice because it's like for us, like we want to kind of widen our scope of movies that we watch, and we're both American based viewers of movies and stuff, so we want to kind of like there's other countries out there that we should watch their movies, and so it's not just America out there, but so it's like it's nice to see movies that are coming from different countries and see
Yeah,
their
Swedish.
perspective of things. It is Swedish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Or they're speaking Swedish.
yeah, that's what my girlfriend thought. She was like, "Oh, that sounds." That's I mistakenly said I thought this was like a French film when we walked into it. She was like, "No, that's Swedish right there."
It's like shows what I know. Like, yeah.
Right. I'm a globetrotter that has only been out of America once.
They yeah, because the home they go to is on the Baltic Sea.
Okay, so yeah, so it probably is a Swedish based movie. It is a Swedish movie in terms of like what they're speaking and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really can say I and also I'm like guided by this. Like I watched this video, this YouTube video of like the best movies for a budding cinematographer, which I'm not a budding cinematographer, but I like films. And one of them was Persona that came up on it on this YouTuber's list of like any cinematographer, any person that enjoys cinematography should watch Persona as one of the
Hmm.
movies that they should watch. And so um it's been kind of nice to kind of find these movies that like people kind of select as like, oh, this is a movie that you should watch. And it definitely is. I think this is a movie I would recommend to people to watch at least once.
Yeah.
But would you buy it for yourself? That's our next question. Would you buy it for
Yeah.
your personal collection?
I would.
You would?
Yeah, which is very weird to say after watching it once. I think I would. There was just something about like the simplicity of it and the look of the movie that I really enjoyed. Now I want to see again. See, I would buy it.
Yeah, it's funny because I would need to think twice. Um, because visually, yes, I think just being able to like show somebody like if someone came over and said like I want a visually striking movie and everything. And a lot of people won't believe black and white would be visually striking because like
Yeah,
visually striking sometimes will come up as like, oh, I want to see something that's like Wes Anderson,
very
that's like
colorful.
very
Yeah.
colorful and has all these like kind of different movements within the film. Um, but black and white is like I think the most visually striking sometimes, where it's like,
Hmm.
and especially the use of lighting for this, and so I think if I took it in that grain of salt, then I will I would buy it. If I'm looking for movies to like increase my collection of like these are movies that look visually perfect.
Hmm.
Where like on the opposite end, in the mood for love, that looked visually perfect for me, and I think we
Yeah.
talked about that. That yes, that was, but I enjoyed the story. I was like enamored by the story too. So I think I got I don't know why. Like I love that movie, and so that what I would say like hit it on both ends, where it's visually striking, it's colorful,
Hmm.
but it's not so colorful, it's muted. But
Yeah.
then there's a story that's behind it and everything, and there's like a lot of emotion, which Persona does too and everything, but I think it's more visually
Yeah, but it's
striking
one
to me.
person's emotion though.
Right. I should
It's
we
just
should look
all
up
of them
like how many
just
lines
spazzing out.
of like dialogue did she actually speak in this thing.
Just every single page just full.
You imagine when they like sent the scripts to both of these characters? Like, what? I have a whole book. What are you and the other one has
Like
two
Elizabeth doesn't
lines.
say anything until like the end.
Right.
You mumble one word. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll take it.
Hey, oh, let me ask you this before we end this. Did you think
Yeah,
she actually spoke when she was drunk? Like told her to go to bed and go to sleep? Yeah,
I
like she
hope so.
denies it at the end and everything, or like at the next
Yeah, like
day.
no, I didn't say anything. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you come to my room and all that? She's like, I didn't do none of that. Yeah, I think she did. I hope she did.
it's interesting.
We didn't even
Yeah.
mention the kid. Like just the random little like we know whose kid it is, but he's just stroking a wall.
Oh yeah, the begin and then it ends with that kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Like that, and that kid looks like in a sterile kind of hospital setting,
Hmm.
like
Like
the
Elizabeth, yeah.
hospital. Yeah, so that's true. Yeah, it's like, and then
Just an image
it
on his wall
it
of a woman.
starts and ends like the same way basically,
Yeah.
and so yeah, very
Very
interesting movie.
strange.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
interesting movie. It was good.
Brady.
I really enjoyed it and being able to take the
Same.
time
Yeah.
and watch this movie and stuff. So, but any last words?
Mm-mm. Check out the movie. Check out Persona.
I think so. I think this is something that like if we give it our ratings, but I think this is something that like you should experience yourself and rate it yourself or make a judgment
Yeah.
on your own end and stuff. But this is definitely a movie to watch. But all right, Kai, you want to take us out?
Yes, sir. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Saturday Night Popcorn. I'm Kai.
And I'm Jason, and we'll be back next week for another one.